Hello, how you doing? I'm Craig Parkinson. You are listening to the Two Shot Podcast. Sit yourself down, pop the kettle on. We're going to have a nice old chat. Who's it with this week? I'm going to tell you right now. How the devil are you this week? Everything good? Yeah? No, I know over here in the UK, you're sick of the weather. It's cold, it's rainy, it's bleak. People are walking around with their hats on and the scarves on. You just want the sun to come out and for things to be a bit happier. Well, look, it's coming. Trust me. But thank you so much for downloading and joining us. It's always a treat to have you. And your messages, thanks so much for the lovely, kind, supportive messages from last week's episode with Sean Dooley. Now, this isn't Steve Wright's Radio 2 show. I don't read out all the lovely messages that you send, but I did get a message on social media saying, yeah, we love the episode, da-da-da. But what was really nice was to hear you two just sat down like old mates and having a natter. And that's the best review that we could get, because, truth be told, that was the first time that myself and Sean had really had a big conversation and sat down. And that's always what I wanted the podcast to be, very relaxed and unforced and natural, just like two mates in a cafe or down the pub. So thanks for that. This week is episode 36, and we are thrilled to be joined by LoneLady. A little bit more of that in a second. Now, a while back, Danny Lee, who's the senior curator at the BFI, got in touch with me and asked if I'd join something that he's organising at the BFI. And I said yes when he told me what it was all about, so I thought I better tell you. Now, it's called Working Class Heroes. It's on Saturday, April the 14th, and it's a look at working class talent in front and behind the camera. It's going to be an amazing day. There's interviews, there's talks, there's panels. You can ask questions. I'll be there. Leslie Manville will be there. Maxine Peake, Johnny Harris, Danny Mays, Vicky McClure, Frank Cottrell Boyce. Who else? So many amazing people. Shaheen Baig, Des Hamilton. And the great thing is that if you're under 25, you can get tickets for £3. And there's also a multi-ticket offer. You can go to all 4 of the onstage events, and that's £6 if you're under 25. And if you're not, if you're a bit older, don't worry. It's only a few quid extra. It's April the 14th. I really think you should get your tickets. Go to BFI, search Working Class Heroes, snap it up. It's going to be a brilliant day. I'm going to be there all day. I'm really, really looking forward to it. And it's time that we celebrate and open the door for the new blood and the people that are finding it hard to break into the industry. And I know a lot of you, I know that some of you listening to this do find that. So get yourself down there. It's going to be brilliant, and it'll be ace to see you. What else have I got to tell you? What next? Tickets for the Two Shot Podcast live with Paddy Considine and Dave Haslam. That's May 19th. That's selling out. You can go to get your app, your Dice FM app, and buy your tickets. It's going to be an amazing day. What else? 23rd of May, we're off to Bath, aren't we? You heard last week, we're at Bath Festivals with Charlie and Daisy May Cooper from... it astounds me, week after week. Series 2 is so strong of this country. They are going to be there, and it's going to be a brilliant... I want to say day. It's not a day. It's going to be a brilliant hour. That's it. Tickets for that are £9 and £8. Get over to Bath Festival. Come see us. Okay. Now, this week, we are joined by Julie Campbell, a.k.a. LoneLady. I'm sure you heard her music. I asked you to do a little bit of homework. Did you do it? Good. Gold star for you. And she told me, after we did the interview, that this was the most in-depth natter that she'd really done. She doesn't tend to do a lot, so we're really, really privileged to have her on the podcast. So let's get down to it. This is episode 36 of the Two Shot Podcast with LoneLady. Enjoy, and I'll see you at the end. Is it, you were born in Ashton-under-Lyne?
Yes, yeah.
And how long did you stay there for? Because you were brought up
not long. I mean, yeah, grew up in Audenshaw.
Which is funny, because I know the North and Manchester really well.
No one's ever heard of Audenshaw.
I don't know. So
no.
Is it east?
Yeah, it's 5 miles east of the city centre, and it's like part of Tameside, so it's part of like Hyde and Denton and all those kinds of places.
And what was it like growing up there?
Well, I just sort of think it was really ordinary, you know, but I suppose, you know, define ordinary. But, you know, it was just a really nice, when I look back, because I've lived in the city centre since I was 18, I now look back on it, I think it was actually quite rural, you know. There was like actual green stuff there, which, you know, since I was 18, I have, you know, don't see green stuff anymore.
There's a little bit in Piccadilly Gardens, and
that's probably concreted that over by now. So now, and almost when I went back, I used to be almost quite shocked to see the Pennines so close. I was like, oh God, you know, what's that? So when I look back, I feel really grateful for having, you know, growing up near a field and a reservoir, you know. So that was like, I sort of described the reservoir as my own private sort of concrete beach. You know, I used to go and play there a lot. And so, yeah, you know, just climbing trees, grazed knees, you know, running around the fields, long summer days, that kind of thing, really, you know. Time seemed to stretch, you know, a lot longer back then. And nowadays, I sort of think, where did that year go? You know,
I know, I thought that last year. Yeah, it's part and parcel. I think they were just getting older, isn't it? So
I do sort of think back on Audenshaw in a positive
fond
light,
memories,
you know, of childhood, of being a child, and that's actually that sort of childhood sense of wonder is something that's kind of a big theme for me in my music, and in a way, being a musician is a way to sort of not grow up, you know, and stay being a kid. So
same as being an actor.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah, you know, so I just sort of hide in my studio and live in a sort of imaginary world, and don't really like it when I'm sort of forced out of there, you know, especially nowadays. Do you feel
all right though when you're performing and you're on stage, even though?
Yeah, that's a totally different prospect for me. I'm very much, I love being in the studio, and my first love was fine art. It was visual art, so I did, you know, I've got an art degree, and as a kid I was always drawing and painting and stuff like that, and I sort of see music as coming from the same source, really. It's just painting with sound. So I'm really happy just, you know, by myself, making music, recording, creating, and, you know. So whenever I play live, I've got to say it's a bit of an ordeal for me.
Do the nerves get to you?
Yeah, I'm just not one of these people that lives to be on stage. And it's one of the big sort of paradoxes of, you almost think, well, why are you an artist? Why are you a musician then?
Yeah.
Because it's such a big part of what you sort of have to do. And
but, you know, it's not like you're going on there to seek affirmation from those people. I suppose you're just very happy with.
It's a weird
creating.
Thing. It's like, because I'm not an actor. It's funny because like my most dreaded lesson at school was drama.
Was it?
yeah, I hated it.
What?
It just made me. I was very shy, and I think that again that's another sort of paradox. You know, I was always very shy. So,
well, let's talk about school. Where was school?
Well, Audenshaw County Primary School in
Audenshaw, how was it?
Right near the reservoir, and then Droylsden at Fairfield High School for Girls in Droylsden. And it was just down the street from Howard Donald of Take That. So can you imagine, he used to be swamped. It's quite sweet, really. So that was funny. But yeah, I loved school, you know. It was fine, particularly primary school, you know, just loved learning, loved reading.
So you got on well academically?
Yeah, I'd say so, yeah.
You weren't shoving that away or anything?
No, I kind of enjoy. I mean, you know, all the sort of arty subjects I absolutely loved. You know, English, literature, art, things like that. Maths and science, I just did the minimum that was necessary. I thought maths and science were really soulless, you know. So.
Well, in a way, they kind of are, aren't
Yeah. But, so yeah, I loved that.
And what was growing up in your house like? Was it just you?
I've got an older brother, Neil. He's a writer. He's had short stories published.
So where do you think this creativeness comes from? Because I haven't even asked what your mum and dad do.
Yeah, well, there was not. I wouldn't say it was anything overt in the house that was obviously creative. I think creativity, you know, can take lots of different forms.
Absolutely.
But there was no. You know, there's no obvious art or music that I recall, you know, particularly. So I do sort of think I don't really know where it came from, and I quite like that.
Yeah.
Because it was all I can remember, really, is loving. I'm sure it's maybe apocryphal or just not true, or my brain has made it up, but I'm really sure on my first memory of being asked what do you want to be when you grow up, and I said I was an artist. And I think I was 3 when I said that. But
really?
But that can't be true, can
No,
it?
I think we should go with that as a true story, because that's really lovely.
Well,
I think
in
we should
my
stick
mind,
with that.
it's true.
Yeah.
So, you know.
Well, as it should be. But, you know, it's funny that when we think about ourselves as children, or we look at other children, certainly, you know, from my point of view as an actor, they do ask loads of questions. They don't take anything off on face value. But there's a freedom just to play,
freedom,
and no judgment. But that thing of asking questions all the time to get to why, what's this? I love that person. I think it's fantastic, and that's obviously what loads of actors and other artists trying to get back to being that way without that control.
I think you are always trying to get back to that, really, because at the time maybe you don't realise what it is, you know. I feel like it's something I can hold onto inside myself and in the artwork that I do, and, you know, the music or whatever. I think it's still there, you know, defiantly holding on to that, really. But yeah, I think that sort of shyness thing has always been there, and a sort of tendency to kind of go into my own world a bit, which when you're then, you know, part of being a musician is to play live. So it is very difficult for me. I mean, I love playing the guitar, and I love actually just standing in a room with other musicians playing my music. That's great, but just this whole thing of being on a stage and delivering a performance is something I'm still struggling with. And with the Hinterland tour toward the end, some of those stages were getting really big. Yeah. You know, like the Brixton Academy supporting Hot Chip.
Yeah, it's not a small space.
It's not small. And also, you know, a really massive one was supporting New Order in Castlefield on a huge sort of makeshift stage. Yeah. And, you know, the other support, you don't get much production, and so it was just you know, standing on this huge stage in sort of daylight in front of a sea of, you know, Mancunian New Order fans sort of stood there folding their arms, with their arms folded, just staring at me, like, as if to say, go on then.
What you got?
Go on then, you know. But we did a really good gig. It was really good.
I heard you did. And do you
so,
find...
it was just that, it's hard because I don't act. I'm not an actor, I'm not a performer. So it's real instead. So you just have to kind of go through it for real every single time.
Because it's funny, because certainly from a musician's point of view, and, well, from an audience point of view, some musicians on stage kind of sometimes cut the audience off, even though they're there on stage. And some of them are completely inclusive of the audience and want to join it. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So are you finding that you... I mean, naturally, not that you would cut them off, but I suppose...
Yeah, so I would love to... I sort of feel like I'm absolutely giving people everything, and I couldn't be more exposed. I feel like I'm just laying myself out on a anvil, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, to be, you know... And then the music is... I write all the music, so I write all the parts, even though there's a band there. They're playing the parts that I've written. So I'm giving people everything, everything that I can. And if I do get, why people want a little bit more, they want a bit of communication in between the songs sometimes, but when I've figured out what to say, I will say it. I don't know. I'm not going to say, "Hey, Bristol, how you doing?"
Yeah,
I'm not going to say that.
You can't put on a persona, can you?
Just, I'm not going to say that. So I'm too shy, really. That's the reality. I'm too shy. So I'll find a way one day and say something.
But you have to find, that's your thing. You have to find your path.
It's not like I don't want to. I'm cutting them off, or And to be honest, it's really massively moving that anyone comes to a gig or that anyone buys a record. That means so much to me, more than a review or something.
Yeah.
Whilst obviously I totally appreciate what reviews can do for you in a sort of practical way.
But if someone's physically,
when someone comes up to you after a gig and they really mean it. I mean, that's what I'm doing it for. I'm doing it for myself, but I'm also doing it to make that sort of connection. And for my music to have meaning to anyone else is incredible. So it's not that I'm aloof on stage. I just don't know what to say.
No, I wouldn't say you're aloof on stage at all.
Good.
And it doesn't. I wouldn't. I don't think it ever comes across like that, because I've seen either aloofness, if that's a word, on stage, but also I've seen artists who couldn't really give a flying fuck. Yeah, they're obviously just
dialing it in, whatever.
Dialing it in. They can't be bothered, or it's the end of the tour. And I suppose you can't really do that to those people who are physically going out and buying a record or downloading or have bought a ticket.
No, I can really honestly say, playing live, I've never ever done it in a half-hearted way ever, because it's too difficult. No.
But you don't strike me as someone who could give a half-assed performance.
No, I'm never complacent about these things. If anything, I need to chill out a bit more, really. I mean, I distinctly remember when we were playing that New Order gig. I was on this massive stage, and the other musicians, I look over and they're miles away from me. Normally they're quite near, but because the stages are getting a bit bigger, I mean, I felt so isolated. And even as I'm playing guitar, and some quite complicated parts on the guitar, I distinctly remember thinking, I can't do this. I can't fill this stage. And I sort of really understood why bands change when they get bigger, because you physically feel like you need to be doing more because the stage is bigger. So, I mean, I don't think there's any danger of me, using props or mad costumes. There's no danger of that. But there is a sense of like, how do you fill the stage? So, I remember that thought with clarity. As the gig was happening, thinking
at that moment,
as I'm literally stood there playing guitar to a sea of New Order fans, I actually thought, I can't do this.
That's like a real out-of-body experience.
It was. It was like I was stepped outside of myself.
Because that happens sometimes with actors when you're on the stage and you'll be speaking lines, and then all of a sudden something happens, and you come outside of yourself and you go, these words are just flowing out of my mouth.
Yeah, I get that a lot.
I really don't know what the next word is.
Oh my God, that's awful. Because I think, at least with being a musician, you've got muscle memory. So even when you suddenly become you become unfocused and a bit have an out-of-body experience, at least your hands carry on playing the guitar. Do you know what I mean? So I'm quite lucky in that sense.
So just talking about the guitar, when did that come along into your life?
I think it was about 15. My mum probably bought a guitar off Ashton Market, and it was 10 quid, and it was the most knackered, horrible beast of a guitar that you could ever imagine, and the strings were miles away from the fret, which means it was just a really harsh, way to start learning the guitar, because it just really hurt my fingertips, And then I just bought a book, taught myself the chords, and that was it, really.
Did you just carry on teaching yourself?
Yeah. I've never had a lesson. I don't really get that, really. I mean, each to their own, but, it never occurred to me to go and get a lesson. And you know, I think it's learning simple chords on the guitar. It's quite easy, really. You just need a bit of concentration.
And practice.
But yeah, I loved it. I'm just trying to remember. Some of the songs from that first book were things like Mull of Kintyre and...
The classics.
Just really awful songs, you know, that I learned to play.
I suppose you've got to go through that to get to...
Yeah, I mean, that feels like a long time ago now. But yeah, I guess I just carried on and then started writing really terrible songs. And then at some point, the songs got better, you know.
And when did you decide... I just need to go back a bit, because after school, when did you decide to go and do a fine art degree?
Well, yeah, after school, went to college in Hume, Loretto College in Hume, and then...
And what were you studying at college?
Art, English and music.
So were the art and the music both sort of in tandem with the passion of yours, or did you sort of go, well, if I do one, I've got one to fall back on as a career, or was it, how did it work out? It wasn't
that clear cut, really. It was just, I just sort of love art in all its forms. So, you know, reading, I was really into writing poetry as well. And at 18, I started cello lessons, as you do.
Yeah.
You know, it's a really late, you know, time to start, you know, that kind of instrument.
Why were you drawn to the cello?
I just started listening to classical music on the radio, and I heard it one day. I thought, oh God, what's that? I want to do that. That's what I was like when I was younger. I was just very like, I want to do that. Oh, what's that? I'll do that.
But I think
wanted to do everything. I wanted to play every instrument.
That's what kids should do, and they should be encouraged to go, you can do anything. There's every door's open.
I mean, it was like really cheap lessons, Manchester Music Service, you know, amazing teacher called David Wainwright. Just loved it, yeah. And I learned how to read music. And when I was a kid, I just thought that was like a magical power, like a superpower. So then I thought, I want to learn to read music, so I did.
You just did?
Yeah.
I remember when I tried to learn to read music, I just couldn't, my brain could not get round it. It was like a maths equation to me.
I think I was just a bit of a sponge then, you know, for anything artistic, you know, soaked it all up.
But you probably still are, aren't you?
Yeah. Just feels different though now.
Do you think because the stakes have got higher?
I think at some point I was sort of doing everything, and it sort of did get to a point during my art degree. I sort of became aware of making a choice, you know, that probably, because I was quite seriously writing poetry and, you know, and getting published in little, you know, little zines and things. And I remember thinking, do I want to spend the rest of my life in like sitting in a silent room writing poetry? And I thought, no, I really don't. So I remember thinking that. So in a way, I sort of chose music because at least the sound would, you know, keep me company or something, do you know what I mean? So
you go from not writing poetry by yourself in a small room to writing music.
Right, I'm still sat in a room by myself, but at least there's, you know, the racket of a drum machine to keep you company or whatever.
Of course.
So yeah, it did feel like at some point a path emerged, and then I think looking back, it did do sort of quite well with LoneLady music from the start, really, you know, and it's a long, slow, kind of gradual build-up, you know. It's not like I achieved, you know, overnight fame or anything like that. Obviously, I'm not, but, you know.
It never happens, does it, really? Do you remember where you were when you wrote your first song?
Well, probably in my bedroom in Ardenshire.
Did it stem from a poem or anything, or was it something that was organic?
I can't remember. I don't know. It's probably just some awful, dreadful...
Just messing about?
Yeah, just messing about. But I think a real sort of catalyst for me was buying a Tascam 4-track recorder.
Explain. I have no idea.
That's basically, it's just like a machine you put a cassette into, but you can record 4 lines of music onto it. Okay. So you can build up a bit of a, you know, a track, basically, quite a full...
Sort of flesh it out type of thing.
Basically,
right.
yeah.
So you bought one of those?
Yeah, and that was a real sort of yeah, it was a catalyst. It was like, right, I really like recording, I really like mixing, I really like using like studio tools to build. I don't, it's more like a song is more than just, oh, here's some chords and lyrics. It's what you do with it in the studio. It's the statement you make with it in the studio, and I really love using the studio as a tool, really. So mixing and production, I think those are just really creative tools.
Was this all these tools that you say, were this something that you taught yourself how to use? Or
Yeah. I think I've come a fair long way from the 4-track recorder. So my studio keeps expanding, I've just been taking on new skills, and it's to have your own professional studio is an epic thing, though, and it's a very expensive thing. And my studio is pretty far from being the kind like the kind of professional studio that you would that you might expect. But it's definitely grown from those early days of just bits and bobs, really. But that's how I sort of made the first 2 albums, really, and EPs before that, just on a really minimal lo-fi equipment, and that definitely informed my aesthetic and the sound. I like things sounding a bit rough around the edges. I don't really like polished production.
Yeah.
For me, it's right for other people and other musics, but my own thing, I sort of always want things to sound a bit like it's been done on a 4-track cassette,
Because that's where you started.
Yeah.
And when you are writing, what's a typical sort of day? Do you set times to write, or
I just go in like pretty much every day, 5 days, 6 days a week, and I think that often for me it does start with a beat. I love drum machines, I love rhythm, and it just, as always, I think that's where, because the drum machine, it never sort of stops or slows down, or it never wants to go for a coffee. It just carries on.
It doesn't want to get distracted.
No, it just forces you to keep playing and playing and playing along to it. And I used to do that. I used to just play the guitar along to a drum machine for like literally hours straight until my hands were hurting. I used to do that.
Wow.
Yeah. Which is a really good way to develop riffs. So riffs would emerge from that, and when I felt like something was happening, I'd just hit the record button and then go back at a later date and just, construct the song from that.
How do you know when something's happening? Is it just a feeling, or
it just sounds good?
I just like the sound of it.
It's just that'll do. That's good. That works. But the last sort of 18 months or so that I've been in Somerset House Studios, I've kind of pushed my studio on to the sort of next stage, really, because I don't really like to repeat myself. I like to keep evolving. So I acquired a bunch of new equipment, and I've been working kind of pretty extensively with hardware sequencer. So just really that sort of love of rhythm, taking that to the next step, really, and using sequencers. And I'm lucky enough to been lent an analog synth, and I've got my own analog synth now after years of wanting one. Managed to get one. So yeah, it's been a different set of processes over the past sort of 12 months or so, much more electronic oriented.
Yeah. And do you, with your work, or certainly you as an artist, and with what you do you feel a great sense of control? Because in other forms, you've got other people opening these doors or saying, yes, you can do that, or yes, you'll be accepted here. Whereas for you can get up in the morning and switch that drum machine on and write a song. Yeah,
I just honestly never occurred to me to do it any other way, really. It kind of goes back to, how I used to spend all my time drawing. You don't draw with somebody else, do you? Not really. So I sort of approached music the same way. I just like building my own worlds, really. I I hate collaborating.
Yeah. Have you been approached to ever collaborate?
Yeah, I mean, it just feels like everyone loves that idea, you know. But I'm just like, well, you know, I've always loved
I would think
these kinds of people who, you know, these kind of lone people who, you know, like seal themselves away and then they come out with this amazing thing, and it's like, wow, how did you do that? You know, that really appeals to me. That sort of, you know, hermetic thing. You know,
Yeah.
It's just exciting and interesting, and not that I'm saying that I am particularly, but it's something that is a sort of
But you have to
real
do things
magical
for you.
thrill, you know, to the idea of someone just doing something all by themselves, you know. So collaboration is just something that makes me groan every time I see the word, to be honest.
But I would have thought that would be even harder because you've got to deal with somebody else's taste.
I actually don't know how to do it.
No.
I don't want to sort of put off any prospective future, you know, opportunities here, because, you know, when it is the right person and you find a way in which it will work for you, then obviously that can be brilliant. But generally speaking, no, it's not something that interests me, because I got so many songs myself that I've not finished.
Does that happen a lot? That
Yeah,
you start
there's
something?
stockpile. You know, I've got so many unfinished songs stockpiled. It's so frustrating because you know because I play all the instruments and just do everything. So it takes quite a long time. If you think there's normally maybe 4 band members, it takes me 4 times as long.
Yeah.
So, well, that's my excuse.
Do you remember when you first decided to get up on stage and perform a song? I'm trying to remember where it was. I don't know.
Well, it will have been, yeah, sort of early gigging experiences. But,
Was your heart going like the clappers?
well, it will have been. I don't think it will have ever changed, to be honest. Although,
Do you still get nervous though?
oh yeah, yeah. I mean, I think over the, you know, I was pleased with the last tour with Hinterland because I do think it, you know, particularly, I think it ran pretty well. It was quite a well-oiled machine, and I do get, you know, satisfaction out of it being like a SWAT team. You know,
Yeah.
It's, you know, you're efficient. You know, but yeah, there are skills that you learn. You know, and I think my 20-year-old self would probably be quite impressed with the sort of way in which I was doing things now. You know, it's hard to explain really. It's just skills that you pick up. You know.
I suppose you have to because you're doing it all by yourself. But obviously on the tour and when you're recording, you've got other musicians though, haven't you, within your band?
When we play live,
Yeah.
yeah.
And how did you pick those people?
Well, I mean, the Manchester music scene's pretty small, really. So it's just people like very, very capable musicians. I was really lucky to be able to just sort of cherry pick, really, just people that not only I thought were technically capable, but people I thought I could stand being in a van with for a year.
Yeah.
You know, so I was really lucky to be able to do that, and also people who would be happy to play my parts and have no, you know, writing input at all, you know, which isn't to say that, you know, they absolutely do bring, you know, a vibe to it that if someone else was doing it, it would be different, you know. But so yeah, there's quite a few things to consider when you're, you know, a sort of LoneLady live touring musician. So yeah, so that's Tom, Liam, and Gareth, just to name check them.
Yeah.
So thanks for doing that. Yeah, but I have no idea with the next record. It could all change. I really don't know, because it's not like I used to play live, just me and a drum machine. That was it. Me and a guitar and a drum machine. And then it was a 2-piece for a while. Andrew was a drummer for a really long time. And then it expanded to a 3-piece, and then Hinterland was a 4-piece. So it does change.
I suppose it just keeps evolving though, because
Yeah,
you keep
yeah.
growing and finding new skills and what you want to
Yeah.
do. And I suppose if it's going to carry on like that, then you're going to keep being happy and never stopping, really.
I hope so, yeah.
Do you envisage that this is going to carry on and carry on for you as an artist?
Oh, God, yeah, totally, yeah. yeah, I mean, I hope it, the next record does even better than Hinterland. We'll see.
I'm sure it will. Julie.
Better finish it first, though, I guess, aren't I?
Yeah, bloody get cracking. What are you doing talking to me
Yeah,
for?
no, bloody hell.
Julie, thanks so much for coming and having a chat.
Thanks for having me.
Brilliant stuff. And another episode is done. Huge thank you to Julie for coming on. I don't know if she'll be listening. I know that was quite a big deal for her to do that and sit down and be open and honest, considering she doesn't do loads of interviews. So, yeah, we're really honoured that she said yes and she came on. And the great thing about Julie as an artist, and I think, the word artist does get bandied about a bit too much, but I really believe that she is, because, she's very proud of her work, but she's thorough and she does things on her own terms, and that's to be applauded. Yeah, that's that. So look, I'm going to go. Have a brilliant week, and I shall see you next week for episode 37, and I think I'm right in saying it's another cracker. No, it really is, actually. If it's the episode that I think it is, I don't know. We haven't quite worked it out. But look, until next time, I've been Greg Parkinson. He's been producer Griff. And this has been the Two Shot Podcast. Have a brilliant week. Stay safe. Take care. Cheers. The Two Shot Podcast is presented by me, Craig Parkinson, recorded and produced by Thomas Griffin for Splicing Block. Our brilliant music is courtesy of Then Thickens. Cheers.